Hey, what's up everybody? This is Dr. Andrew Kim M.D. and today's video is on how to start living a meaningful life, how to get unstuck, and why examining our values is such an important place to start. So why this topic and why now? Well, look, if you found yourself thinking, I feel empty inside, I feel pretty unhappy, I feel pretty alone, I don't know what the point of life is, no one's going to miss me, I don't have anything to offer, then I'm pretty certain this topic is relevant to you. I'm pretty certain this topic is relevant to me. For those of you who have subscribed to me and followed my channel, I thank you so much. I know that I haven't posted in about half a year. And the reason is, to be blunt, I've been stuck in a rut in my own life. I feel like, I haven't been fulfilled in my career and my job. I feel kind of dazed and that I'm stuck in some form of a rat race, that I don't have true freedom. And unfortunately, I feel like I've been chasing goals that aren't necessarily in line with my own value system, leaving me feeling kind of empty and even dissatisfied even if I achieve certain goals. So I figured, look, this not only affects me, it affects my family, my wife, my son, my coworkers, even the patients that I treat, that it's time for me even to go back to the basics. And I figured I'd do a topic that's relevant to all of us. Let's get back to the basics of the advice that I give a lot of my own patients is let's stop, let's pause, and let's re-examine our values. Let's reaffirm them. Let's be more intentional about tapping into those core values in our day-to-day lives to help us find more meaning, more fulfillment, even in the midst of the chaos of all the ups and downs. So this is why, me personally, I find that this topic of identifying our values as an important place to start living a more meaningful life. So where do we start? Let's start by defining what values are, and later on we'll talk about what values are not. Okay? So values are our heart's desires of how we want to behave and conduct ourselves as humans. Values can serve as a compass to keep us headed in a desired direction, even with all the chaotic ups and downs in life. Okay? And values are actually independent of whether we achieve a certain goal or not. So values are not achievements. Values are about behaviors in the here and now. Okay? So what are some examples of common values? You've probably heard several of these, but just to get your juices flowing, common values are things like kindness, gratitude, mindfulness, wanting to be loyal, wanting to be a provider, wanting to be a supportive person. These are common values. So my question for you is, later when you're done watching this video, what are the values that resonate with you in this current season of your life? I want to know, and I want you to comment below. Okay? So why? Why is it even important for us to identify our values? Well, there's a few reasons. I believe that knowing our values and knowing which ones truly resonate with us help us get a sense of purpose. And I'm going to tell you now, in 12 years of practicing as a psychiatrist, I can tell you, no matter when I'm treating someone with depression, with anxiety, OCD, panic disorder, whatever it may be, at the core of it, I can tell you a huge percentage of my patients are struggling with their sense of purpose. And if we trace it back, oftentimes it's because it's hard for them to even identify what their value system is about. So this is why I do feel it's important. Now, another reason I feel it's important to identify our values is that values can be a source of strength and motivation when we're stressed out, feeling overwhelmed, and when times are tough. We can draw from them to provide us with that extra sense of motivation and push. Our values can help bring us extra meaning and fulfillment in our day-to-day routine activities. Now look, you're probably watching me on social media right now, but one of the things I don't like about social media is that our society has curated social media to make it seem like our life should be a constant succession of highlight reels. You know what I'm talking about. You look at your friends or your family members' Facebook or Instagram and you see the amazing beach vacation, the amazing super expensive restaurant they saved up for all year long to splurge. But the reality is the following, and I don't mean this in a depressing way. 99% of our lives are spent in the mundane. Our time at work, our time commuting, our time at home in the quiet times with our families, our time sleeping. Those highlights that I mentioned, that is a fraction, a minuscule fraction of our lives. And if we are going to conditionally hope that those moments are going to bring us absolute fulfillment, I'm sorry, that's going to lead to disappointment, dissatisfaction, unfulfillment. So living a value-driven life and tapping into our values in the 99% of the mundane day-to-day activities, that's where we're going to find increased satisfaction, increased fulfillment. I've lost sight of that, and that's where I need to get back to as well. Now, knowing our values and leading our lives based off the values like I just mentioned in a value-driven way can increase the chances of lasting fulfillment. And I truly believe this. So this is why it's important for us to pause and reflect on our values, in my opinion. Now, I also think it's important to differentiate between values, goals, and rules. Now, I said it before, goals are something that you can achieve. They're accomplishments. Where values, you don't achieve a value. Values involve continuous behaviors in the here and now, regardless of whether you achieve the goal or not. For example, I might have the goal of wanting to purchase a home for my family by a certain date. That's my goal. Now, the value is I can still live out my value of being a supportive person, a provider for my family, whether I achieve that goal or not. If I solely base my sense of meaning and fulfillment on that specific goal, I'm almost giving too much power to external circumstances that are out of my control. What if interest rates suck? What if the inventory of houses are not really there? Okay, the marketplace stinks. What if I can't buy that home by that certain date that I set? Does that negate the fact that I'm trying to be a provider for my family? Does that negate the fact that I am a supportive father or husband? No, but internally, we can get those things mixed up. And that can lead to shame, guilt, anger, sadness. So that's why it's important to differentiate values versus goals. Myself, society, we have a tendency to focus on end results and goals solely and lose sight of our values. Sometimes we lose sight and we lose out on the most meaningful aspects of a journey because all we're looking at is the end result. Sometimes we're not even shaping our goals based off our values. So sometimes even when we achieve that end result, we find ourselves saying, hey, I'm not as fulfilled as I thought. Why am I not feeling as happy as I thought I would? Because we might not have even created the goals based off our values, and we lose sight of that. Now finally, values are also not the same as rigid rule sets, okay? Now let's take the example of kindness, which is a very common value. Kindness is a value, but if I suddenly morph that into I must be kind all the time, well, that's now become a rule. Does it make sense for me to be kind all the time if someone is being disrespectful to me? If someone is violating my boundaries? If someone is being a dickhead to me? If someone is walking all over me and being abusive to me? I don't know. That sounds like it's unhealthy. And that sounds unrealistic to follow that rule all the time. Okay? So I would think it's important for all of us to reflect, are we following a value and trying to guide our lives with a value, or have we morphed that into a rigid rule set? Oftentimes you'll hear those buzzwords, I must, I should, I have to. And reflect, have I accidentally transformed a value that I hold dear into a rigid rule set that is setting me up for frustration and now becoming a source of stress? So keep that in mind as well. Values are fluid. You may prioritize certain ones in certain relationship dynamics and certain situations more than others. Like I'm doing right now, you may need to reassess your values from time to time. So keep that in mind as well. Just because I pick a certain few values doesn't mean that I'm somehow locked into that or changing it is a sign of failure. Think of it as a dynamic, fluid system. All right? Now, our society, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Our society has created a bunch of cute phrases and euphemisms. You've heard them. quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, empty nest syndrome. These are very catchy titles for social media posts, for books to be sold at Barnes and Nobles and at your coffee shops. They're great for the self-help field, okay? But underneath these cute euphemisms is a universal truth. What they're trying to say in a less scary fashion is, I'm lost, I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, I'm scared as hell. I don't think those phrases would be as sexy on a book cover, and that's why they don't use them, but that's what they're trying to convey. And what I'm trying to convey is, you are not alone. I'm right there with you. People who say they've never gone through this are probably lying to themselves or just minimizing it. All of us as humans, at some point in our lives, struggle with this concept. What is my purpose? How can I live a life that is worth living? Where do I find that meaning and fulfillment from? Might happen in a different chapter for certain people, might not be as intense for certain people, but it is universal, and we are all going through this in life. So let's just be honest with each other. It can be scary sometimes, living life, okay? So this is why, all of the above, in summary, is why I think this is an important starting place. Stopping, pausing, reflecting in all this busyness to see, what are my core values? Okay, this is a good starting point. So to help motivate me, to help motivate yourselves, once you pause and reflect, list in the comments section below, what are some of the values that you already have identified, or maybe new ones after getting motivated here that you want to start identifying with, and list them for me. Let's see what you've come up with. I'll see what I come up with. I appreciate for those of you who've been following along for this ride. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for subscribing. And like I said, let's see what you come up with as well. This is Dr. Andrew Kim, and let's hope all of us can find more meaning and fulfillment in our day-to-day lives by living a value-driven life. Thank you very much.